What's up, everybody? Welcome into NBA DFS Live for Friday, March 12th. I'm your host, Ben Husser, joined by Justin Bales. Bales, it's been a minute since we've been on a pod. Like, we had that really scuffed week before the All-Star break, and then we were off. Obviously, you were with Joey yesterday, so it's been a minute. Weird to see a Friday NBA slate start at 8 o'clock, but that's kind of what we got going on here. I know I'm wearing my Ohio State sweatshirt right now. Bales is literally tilting Ohio State live on the air because they're tied with Purdue, and so what's going on? You need them to win, or what's going on here?
Yeah, I have Ohio State to win the Big Ten at like plus 750 or something that I got a little bit ago. So
Okay.
I thought today was going to be an easy win, and not that I think that they're the best team in the Big Ten or anything, but I thought that there was value in plus 750 or whatever I got it at compared to everyone else. Uh,
Yeah,
I did
those are
not
good. Those were good.
expect.
Those were good odds for sure.
Yeah, I didn't expect this meltdown.
All right. So you guys will notice we're streaming exclusively on YouTube. If you guys saw the tweet, we're gonna be doing that moving forward, I think. So if you guys have questions, drop them into YouTube chat. We will answer them. We're gonna talk about this NBA slate. This is a pretty clear stars and scrubs slate. We have this. It's just insane. Like, I was talking to Sam. Obviously, Sam makes our projections, which you can see them live on the screen right here. These projections are free. A lot of places, a lot of websites you have to pay to get their projections. Our projections are literally free. DFSkarma.com. Roll over the NBA tab, projections portal, right there. DraftKings, FanDuel. It's all free. You can use them throughout the day. They get updated before lock as well. But I was talking to Sam last night, and he's like, "Is there crazy injuries on this slate last night?" And I'm like, "Sam, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's going to be crazy every night for the rest of the season, basically. Because if it's crazy the night after like the All-Star break ends, it's just going to be madness the rest of the season. So we should get used to it. The Rockets are down to 8 guys tonight. John Wall and Victor Oladipo both out for rest, and then they obviously have other guys like Daniel House, Christian Wood still out due to injury. So they're super thin. You'll be playing a lot of Rockets guys. Joel Embiid is just, first of all, he's on another level. But when you take Ben Simmons off the floor, the man is putting up just historically good fantasy point per minute numbers. Like, just insane, dude. Almost 1.9 DraftKings points per minute with no Simmons. That's insane. So you're gonna be you're gonna be playing Embiid, and then you're gonna be playing some Rockets in cash. So for tournaments, there are some ways to get different. We'll talk about it. We'll go position by position. And we'll start at point guard. So point guard, at the top, Russ I think is the best play here. Obviously, you kind of get like that natural correlation running back with Embiid. He even if Beal is in, he's been 1.5 DK points per minute with Beal on the floor, so still really good, and we have the value to fit him. So do you disagree with me that Russ is the best play? Do you want to go with someone like LeBron or someone like that? And is there anyone else like kind of below Russ that you're interested in? Like, I think Murray's interesting. 8,400 is a tough sell though. And then you have John Moran at 81, and then DeJounte Murray and Brogdon there at the 8K below. So, do you agree with Russ is the top play here? And then where are you going after that?
Yeah, if I spend up a point, it's going to be on Westbrook, I believe. I do think that LeBron James is reasonable. One, you're already playing Embiid. Like, I would be willing to bet even in like tournaments you're playing Embiid. There's just no reason not to. So you're going to want to bring it back. I feel like that's just the better option, especially with Westbrook being 200 cheaper. Not that I think you're going to need to find money tonight, but the extra 200 can get you somewhere. With that said, I'm fine with LeBron in tournaments. He's going to feature much less ownership than Westbrook. So I have no real problems there. After that, though, I think you can take like some shots on guys. Like, I don't mind Ja Morant. Colin Sexton at 81 is getting a little expensive, but he's not like my least favorite play on the slate. But I would probably drop all the way down to DeJounte Murray at 75. And then after DeJounte Murray, it feels like you're dropping down to Derek White and then more or less all the way down to like Chasson Randall at 31. I feel like point guard, which is usually just as absolutely stacked, is kind of thin to the point where you have multiple options at different pricing levels in Westbrook, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, and then Randall. But I feel like those four are kind of head and shoulders above the remainder of the entire position tonight.
Yeah, I think Murray's price might keep his ownership down a little bit on DK. Orlando's been vulnerable to big games, to point guards, obviously. DeRozan's out for San Antonio, so that's a nice bump for Murray. You would expect him to comfortably run the offense. He's like 1.2 fantasy points per minute with no DeRozan on the floor. But I think the price might keep some people away. I do think he's a really good play today. Sexton, I listed him at shooting guard on Final Thoughts. So if you guys are watching this, Final Thoughts is free on Fridays. I already filled it out. Obviously, I'll update it before we get to lock. But you can go to dfscover.com and just go over the NBA tab. Final Thoughts has its own page now. It's not an article link. So click the page and it's already updated. You can look. But I think he's an interesting play. He's been super aggressive offensively since the Cavs took Drummond out of the mix. And Darius Garland is listed as questionable. If he ends up getting ruled out, I think that would give Sexton a nice bump. So that is someone to look at in tournaments. But I more or less agree with you that you're dropping down to Murray there. After him, I do think Shake Milton is still an option with Simmons out. But again, like he's just cheaper on FanDuel. That's probably where you want to play him. Like it's tough to justify 5,800 on DraftKings when someone like Derek White is so much cheaper at 4,900. Even though Derek White's coming off of 8.5 DK points in that first game,
what an amazing game!
Yeah, he still played 27 minutes, and that's really what's important. With DeRozan out, he's going to be counted on for big minutes again, and he's not that bad per minute wise. So you would trust that he's going to have a better game tonight. So I do agree with that. I don't really think I have anyone other than Randall, like you said, 3,100. He played big minutes last night off the bench, right? 30 minutes. The Magic are thin again. I think you could expect him to see a similar role. I think that he's an interesting pivot off of some of the Houston guys. So how I'm playing the Houston guys, I would think, like Cash, you're going to play a lot of them. And a lot of people are going to play a lot of them because they just don't have the bodies. Even if they're getting blown out, these guys are going to have to play minutes. But outside of like Kevin Porter Jr., I would say is relatively safe at his price, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah.
Outside of him, when you start to get to like the KJ Martins and stuff like that, they're still really good plays, but I wouldn't be shocked if one of them like had a bad game, or even two of them, right? Especially if they're just like not scoring many points because they're playing the Jazz. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be overly shocked, but at the same time, like they're so cheap that if they're getting 30 minutes, like it's going to be harder for them not to hit value. So
yeah, I mean that's why I'm playing them in cash. But I think in tournaments you can just pick like two of them, and then you can use someone like Randall and get a little bit different.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. My problem with like moving off to someone like Randall is he's just like not a great fantasy producer. So like, yeah, he's getting 30 minutes, but you're kind of expecting like floor type game out of him where he probably scores like 20. His ceiling's probably, 25. I doubt he can get to 30, but maybe 30. Whereas, the guys for Houston, I feel like they're higher upside. They're just also going to be much higher owned.
Yeah, I more or less agree.
Hold 1 second. Quick question. Someone said Mike Conley for tournaments. I'm fine with it. I don't know if you have any issues with him.
The whole Jazz, like we kind of got to talk about that. They're such big favorites. None of those guys are going to be owned, right? Like everyone in the DFS community obviously looks at Vegas and all that stuff. Like they're all going to be scared of the blowout. So no one's going to play Jazz guys. I think they're all really good tournament plays. Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and look, the Jazz are probably going to like not 8 out of 10 times they probably blow them out. There is like the off chance that like somehow the Rockets stay in the game, and we've seen random stuff like that happen all season. So like, are you really going to be shocked if like the Rockets are like somehow in the game in the fourth quarter and the Jazz guys played regular minutes? Like it's really not that far off of a possibility.
No, I agree. Chris, I'm not 100% sure what your question means, but I will answer what I believe it means. I play one cash lineup each night, and I play that strictly in cash, and then I also play it in a like a one smaller tournament just in case it goes off to have exposure, and then I play a tournament option or a tournament lineup in a bigger tournament. But I only play 2 lineups every single night. Someone said Cole Beasley. I don't know. Like, did something happen with him?
Cole Beasley is famous amongst anyone that watches our content, and yeah, I mean it's time to get excited about Cole Beasley with John Brown not
John
returning
Brown over
to
there.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's more looks for Cole Beasley. Obviously, big bump for Gabriel Davis, but yeah, man, I'll never talk about Cole Beasley. I'm so ready for football, man. Like, obviously, we have baseball, and I'm super excited for that. We'll be doing a lot of content for that, but I've already started working on NFL research. Like, this is normally the time of year that we start doing that with obviously all the rookies and the draft coming up. So I'm really excited for that. We have a big partnership. We partnered with Underdog Fantasy. If you guys don't know about that, we did partner with Underdog Fantasy. We've been doing stuff with their props, but that's also going to allow us to do a ton of stuff with their best ball contests. So I'll be looking forward to, and it's legal in Ohio. It was not legal in Ohio. Someone don't quote me on this, but I'm like 90% sure it was not legal in Ohio during like best ball drafting season last year, and it is now.
Yeah, I
So
don't think it was.
I think that just recently happened. So I actually be able to play, and we'll be able to do a ton of content for that. So I'm really super excited for that. But
one more quick. Jonathan said Rockets and Jazz games going to be postponed. Rockets don't have enough players. Yeah, they signed someone they signed someone to a two-way contract.
They
this morning.
signed someone
So
so that they could have enough.
They have the 8. That game should be fine. It's don't get me wrong. I don't think it's out of the question that game could at some point in time get canceled. But no, they do have enough players at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, even if it was like to that point, they could just make one of Depot or Wall like active and then not play them, right? Like it's not.
Well, I think they'll have 9 if and Waba plays, won't they?
Yeah, he got moved up to questionable, so that's really not even a concern. But I'm saying even if it got to that point, they could just make one of them active and play. But
yeah.
But they signed that guy out to the 2-way contract, so they're good to go regardless. All right, shooting guard Bradley Beal questionable. If he plays, completely fine with him in tournaments. I don't think he'll garner a ton of ownership. I think most people will be playing Russ if they're going to go with a Wizards player today. Zach Levine, 9,600. Donovan Mitchell, 8,800. I think like an interesting tournament, like to go with that guy's question about Conley. An interesting way to play this in tournaments is just stack that game and just get a couple of Jazz guys with the cheap Rockets. I really don't mind that. But if I was going to pick one, I would probably want Mitchell and Gobert personally.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I don't think this is a position to spend up. I will say Beal's dominated the Sixers, and without Ben Simmons to really stop him, not that he was realistically going to guard him that much anyway. But it's just a really good matchup for him. So if he's in, I'm fine with Beal. Sexton, as you said, Mitchell, I get what you're saying about it. Levine, I probably wouldn't be on even in tournaments. He just probably won't make my pool. But I do think he's fine if you want to bring him back with Jimmy Butler, who we're going to talk about later. And then I just feel like this is a cheap position. Like you have Kevin Porter Jr., who is going to get just an absurd amount of ownership. Derek White, who we talked about, Ben McLemore, who I'm fine with at 3,500, Dwayne Bacon at 42. I honestly can't believe at this point that I feel like even decent about playing Dwayne Bacon over 4K, but he's going to get like 35 minutes. And then Sterling Brown at 45, is just also another really good Houston play. So, I mean, I guess you could say like Michael Carter-Williams at 63 if you wanted to go like kind of mid, or Tyler Hero. But this just honestly feels like a really easy spend down spot for me.
Yeah, I'm good with Dragic in the mid tier as well for tournaments. But yeah, I think most people in their main lineups will be looking to save here. You have Derek White, who I think most people will play Derek White here, and they'll play KPJ, obviously at small forward. But you have Sterling Brown and Ben McLemore both. And then you have Bacon, I think, similar to what I said with Randall, I think Bacon is just a good pivot off of some of the Houston guys. Like you could just keep Porter Jr. and then play Bacon at shooting guard to get a little bit different. And I would be fine pivoting to Bacon over Derek White too. I think Derek White is one of the better plays on the slate for his price, but we did just see him drop 8.5 DraftKings points, right? So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he doesn't have a good game again.
You just cut out. I missed it. I'm assuming you said it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, it's not crazy to think that he has a bad game again, but agree you're probably saving here. We can move to small forward if you want, unless you have someone else you want to talk about.
No, I think that's basically it. I'm going to be honest. I feel like my player pool, the more that I'm considering, like throughout the stream, my player pool is getting really condensed, and there's only like truly 5 guys that I'm even considering at each position. So I don't know honestly at this point if that's good or bad.
Yeah. Speaking of 5 guys, are you a 5 guys burger guy or no?
Nah, well, I like their fries. I don't. Weird fact about me that I'm sure everyone is gonna be like, "What is that?" I don't eat bread, so I don't eat like burgers on bread and stuff.
Bales is
So
like the low carb Bales. You should change your DraftKings name to low carb Bales.
yeah, the weird thing is it has nothing to do with health. I'm not like a health freak or anything. I just literally don't like bread. It's
Oh, you're gonna get tore up in the comments for that one.
yeah, I know. I've been made fun of it since legitimately like I was 5 years old. It doesn't even affect me at this point.
All right, small forward. Jimmy Butler is the top play here. I haven't first 2 slates since back from the All-Star break. I haven't cashed, and I've missed by like a combined 5 points. Last night I missed cash by like 2 points in double ups, which was just super tilting because we got that late. The longer the Sixers took with their lineup, you just knew that like Howard wasn't going to start. Like I just had that feeling that he wasn't going to start. So we got all that weird news. I made this huge pivot, got onto Jimmy Butler, which I thought was really smart. He was low owned, but it just didn't work out. Ricky Rubio didn't have a great game, and I should have played Kevin Porter Jr. over Bogdanovich. That was just a bad play on my part. I messed that up, but
last night was so funny with it because I had Howard in my utility spot, and then I had Chris Boucher, and I had Norman Powell, who I really liked. I thought they were really, really good plays. But after it was man, I forget what time it was, but the Thunder dropped their lineup. And then right after that, the Sixers dropped their lineup. So I was like, I need to get Dwight Howard out of it. But then I like kept going back and forth. Like, do I play him just thinking no one else plays him because he's still going to get like 25? And I went to change my stuff, but it was after Chris Boucher had just locked. So I was so mad that I couldn't play Bradley and Poku at center. And it turns out Boucher dropped like 50 or something ridiculous. So it actually worked in my favor.
Yeah, I felt bad because, like, obviously Rube only plays one lineup, and he was like, should I play Chris Boucher? And I was like, I love Chris Boucher, but I don't know if I would play him in, like, the stuff
in
that
a
he
solo
plays.
lineup.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I would play him on this slate, especially because Nurse gave that weird quote about, like, subbing 5 for 5. Like, just weird. I was like, I don't know if I would trust him. And
he's
naturally,
always so weird.
Yeah, naturally he goes for 50, so I felt kind of bad about that, but yeah, Butler, one of the best plays today. You can see he has a really good value score in our projection, 6.16. He's actually it's a super small sample because Bam's only missed a couple games, but he's been over 1.6 DK points per minute with Bam out. And that's like, nearing Luka level of production. So you're getting him at a discount too, obviously, because he's only 9,200. And you can bake in the little revenge narrative. Like, try and talk me off Jimmy Butler. I don't see how you don't play him today.
No, I think Butler's one of the best plays on the entire slate. Yeah, I'm gonna use him. I'm very confident at this point that he'll be in my lineup, especially because he's not really projecting for like ridiculous ownership or anything, which is kind of weird, but I'll take it.
Well, Russ is 1,000 more, and I'm assuming Russ is gonna be at least the same ownership, if not more, I would say.
Yeah, I think Russ is more. I don't see how it's going to be that difficult to fit Russ, Butler, and Embiid. I haven't tried yet, so maybe my math is just way off, but I feel like you're going to have plenty of money. If you put all three of them in, you have 4K left per person. Obviously, you're just like putting in Martin, Porter. Like, you're going to have plenty of money to be able to play all three of them.
Yeah, I definitely think that is a possibility for cash games. Outside of Butler, moving down, like I think Jayshawn Tate is a better play on FanDuel today because he's 5,800 on DraftKings, but that does make him an interesting pivot on DraftKings because he's probably the one Houston guy on DK that might go like somewhat lower owned just because he's 5,800.
No, I agree with that. I really like him. I think that he's a solid option. I feel like the one guy that's going to get basically no ownership because you're looking at Kevin Porter Jr. is Matisse Thybulle. And he played, 30 minutes last night? He'll probably get around 30 again. And if there's one dude that has the ability to put blocks and steals on the board, it's him. So the upside is
that's another guy
there.
that's just great on FanDuel where you get +3 for blocks and steals. Like he can rack up just a crazy game for not a lot of salary.
I think last night he had 5 steals, didn't he?
Yeah, it was something stupid. I remember. I always love when guys have like when Clint Capella goes 10 blocks. Like I love to look at their FanDuel scores because it's just insane.
So crazy, yeah. But I think he's a really good option. That's kind of it. I think for me, I think you can take a shot on Keldon Johnson, but
yeah,
man, do I not trust his minutes.
Well, he got in foul trouble really bad in that first game back, so he lost. He ended up losing like 6-7 minutes, I think, in the second quarter because they just instantly yanked him because he got into foul trouble. So if you added 6 minutes on to whatever he played, like 22, even if he was at 28, you would feel a lot better. So I think he's going to play closer to that tonight, and he is really cheap. So I like Keldon Johnson a lot. I think you could play him in all formats, honestly.
I agree that I think he's way too cheap. It's just I don't know. I'm not a cash guy for Keldon Johnson. I think he's fine in tournaments. I think there's too many options to actually use him in cash tonight.
Yeah, DraftKings it's a little bit easier just because there's like you can use 3 forwards or whatever. But I basically like you're not gonna play him over KPJ or something like that. Like I agree with that. All right, you have anyone else here? I think small forward is pretty straightforward. I mean, you could take darts on guys like Ingram. I'm not going to argue with you, but like we're playing Zion over Ingram at this point. Like it's pretty clear, I think.
Yeah, Zion has just been going absolutely crazy. It's really fun to watch what he's doing. The only weird thing about his game is that he's legit doing like nothing besides scoring, and it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, we'll use that as a transition over here to power forward. I think Zion's super good tournament play, really good matchup against the Cavs, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I literally don't watch ESPN. I just don't anymore. Like, obviously, growing up, it was like the golden age of SportsCenter and all that stuff, so we would always watch it. But I just really don't pay attention to it anymore because it's awful. Unless, like, Mina Kimes or someone is on, like, NFL Live, I'll watch that. But, so maybe it's because I don't watch, but I haven't seen, like, enough hype about how good he's been offensively recently. I think it's 13 straight games he's had 23 or more real points, which is just really good.
I feel like I feel like the hype isn't there because of what Embiid's doing, and like all the hype is on Embiid, and like you're not going to be like, oh, Embiid's dropped 25 and 20 straight games, but also Zion's dropped 23 and 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like if Embiid wasn't doing what he's doing right now, I feel like everyone would be all over Zion. And to be fair, back on my previous comment, Zion does add stuff literally every game. It just feels like he is the type of player that should be posting like these massive double doubles and stuff, and he literally barely ever does that.
Yeah, no. It does seem like it seems like he does a ton like facilitating and getting rebounds, and then would have like 15 points at least like a couple weeks ago, or then he would explode like with a bunch of points and then do limited other stuff. It does seem like you never get it together. It's weird.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, there's a bunch of options that I think are really solid options at power forward, but I feel like there's just 2 that are so much better than everyone else that it's kind of crazy. And it's Kenyon Martin Jr., obviously at 3K. You're going to play him, especially in cash. You're probably just going to play him in tournaments too. And then the second one is Kelly Olynyk, who I think it's crazy that he's not projecting for just like absurd ownership at this point with Bam Adebayo out. He's been absolutely dominant and gets Chicago tonight, and he's still under 6K.
Yeah, Olynyk is really really strong play. I love him. Obviously, good matchup, like you said. He's been great with Bam out, and they kind of need him to play. If they're not gonna like, I kind of thought that first night when we got that news late, like I kind of thought Precious might start.
Mm-hmm.
But once they didn't do that, like it's pretty clear, like they just want to use him as the backup, and they're gonna play Olynyk minutes. So yeah, I think he's a good play. I agree on both of those. I also want to throw in Kuzma for tournaments. This is not a great game, like Lakers, Pacers, like DFS wise. Like I don't think there's going to be a ton of ownership on this game. But Kuzma has been really good with Davis out for the majority of the games that he's missed. And 5,900, it's not too expensive, but it's enough that he's literally not going to be owned, especially with Olynyk right there. And on FanDuel, I think he's even cheaper. So I think you could look at Kuzma in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I do think there's other guys you can use. Tobias Harris, even with Embiid back against Washington. I'm not going to prioritize him. I do think he's a fine tournament play. Rudy Gay, I don't really have too many issues with. It's just, he's not going to get 30 plus minutes. Markieff Morris at 43 is fine. And then if you want just like an absurdly cheap guy, Chuma Okeke at 32. I actually like Okeke as a player. I think he's honestly still working his way back from a pretty major injury. And obviously he's not like going to take over the offense or anything. But I do actually really like him, and I think his future's bright. So at the point where we're getting him at 3K for basically 25 to 30 minutes, I don't really have too many issues with it. It's just like I don't necessarily think I can really justify playing him over Martin tonight.
Yeah, in cash, no way. Tournaments, I mean, you could play him, or you could just play him together. I do think he's a good play.
Yeah,
We've played him a couple times this season already. I do think he's a good play tonight at his price. No disagreement. No disagreement from me there.
I think that's it. Someone asked about Sabonis. I think he's too expensive, right around 10K. I just don't really see too much of a reason to use him. With that being said, like if
There is
you were
value
like,
to fit him if you want.
yeah, if you were like dying to play him tonight, I would be like, whatever, like just go ahead. But not even close to one of my top plays.
Yeah. I mean, he's right there. I think I slightly lean Zion for 800 less, but
I agree with that. I would
for
prefer
tournaments.
Zion.
But yeah, I mean, there's value to fit him if you want. Center stacked mainly because you have Jokic and Embiid at the top. I think both are just smash plays today. Embiid, we kind of already discussed it about him being like 1.9 DK points per minute with no Simmons. Like it's insane. You're playing him in cash. You're probably playing him in tournaments too. I really don't see a reason you would want to fade him, unless you're playing obviously like quite a few teams. Then you would obviously mix around. But you and I both don't play more than a couple teams, so I'm gonna be playing Embiid tonight for sure. Pairing him with Jokic, I think, is a good move, right? You have the value to fit him. It's a good matchup for Jokic as well, and like him and Embiid have the highest ceilings on this slate, like for sure, I would say. So just getting them both in, I think, totally makes sense on a slate that we have all this value.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also will add that I think you can throw Vucevic's name in and just play two of the three,
Yep.
which I believe Embiid obviously is the best one. You're going to want to play him. But I do think that it's somewhat of a toss-up between Vucevic and Joker. I think if you're playing cash, you probably just want to go Joker. He's going to have the higher ownership. But if you're playing tournaments, I have no problems going Vucevic and Embiid tonight.
Yeah, I would take Vooch over Sabonis as well, I think. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. In the mid tier, I mean, you have Olynyk who has center eligible on DK, and then I think he's center only on FanDuel. So you can use him there. I don't know if you have anyone else like in terms of like cheaper guys. I just don't see a reason to really go there. Like you have some guys that have center eligibility that we talked about at power forward, and then you have like some of the Magic guys. But I just don't see a reason to get away from some of the guys at top. I think the one guy for tournaments is Gobert, just because I don't think people will play him. But I mean, he should crush in
Yep.
the minutes that he does play.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think two cheap guys that you can use, but they're really thin plays in my opinion. So I'm definitely not going to go there. I think if you're making a bunch of lineups and you just kind of want to get weird, Kem Birch is 30,000 and JaVale McGee's only 3,500. Just kind of like an upside play where they have the ability to easily beat value. Uh, I mean, if you're using just like one lineup though, I don't think that's a smart play. And then at 4,900, I do think that Justin Patton is completely fine for tournaments.
Yeah, Patton, another one. Like since his price is up a little bit, relative to what it was, like we were playing him when he was like min price like last week, right? So since his price is up a little bit and how stacked center is, him and Tate I think are the two Rockets guys that probably go a little bit overlooked. So I have no problems playing him in tournaments.
No, I like that.
All right, if you guys have any last minute questions, you can drop them into chat. We will answer them. The time has come, Bales. First bold call from me in a while, so make it a good one.
Yeah, I will say on DraftKings that Embiid, Joker, and Vucevic all score more than 60 tonight.
More than 60. 180
Yeah,
combined from those three centers.
180 plus combined. But I think that's going to be easier because Embiid could hit like 75, whereas I
Yeah.
think 60 plus from three different guys, that seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good one. I'm going to go Jimmy Butler scoring 50 real points tonight. I'm feeling it.
50 real.
Scoring 50 real points tonight. Just owning the Bulls.
I like the bold call there because that is good.
Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Like I said at the top of this, we'll be streaming exclusively on YouTube for the time being. Probably just going forward. Baseball right around the corner. NFL as well. Obviously, tons of content to come there. Be sure to head over to dfscover.com. Check out all the free content. Bales writes 100 articles every day. We have free projections, which you can see on the screen here. Final Thoughts is free on Fridays, so you can check that out. And if you're interested in trying out our core plays, you can get access for as little as $5 under the shop page there on dfscover.com. Other than that, good luck tonight, and we'll see you guys on Monday.